When I say beer, what country do you think of? You're probably thinking of Germany because of Oktoberfest. And according to Germany.travel, it is one of the most culturally diverse, cosmopolitan, and modern countries you can visit. And they have around 82 million people living there. Today I'm going to talk to you about what you should expect if you plan to go to Germany, what Oktoberfest is really about, and things you probably shouldn't do while you're there. So, firstly, I want to talk about climate. It's very mild all year round. In the winter, the temperature stays around 30 degrees Fahrenheit, and in the summer, the temperature will be around 70 degrees Fahrenheit. As far as language goes, almost every single German there can speak good enough English to communicate with you. And if you want to speak what they speak, High German is the way to go. Pretty much everyone there will know High German. And in Oktoberfest, according to VistaWide.com, 6 million people will come annually to visit and drink about 1.5 million gallons of beer. And it's hosted in Munich, and it starts typically around the middle of September, and it'll last 16 days. And if you want to know what kind of beer they drink, it's called Märzen. It's only brewed by certain companies that are actually allowed to brew it. And it's named after the month of March when it used to be brewed back in the day. And it's typically darker and a little bit stronger than your normal beer. And if beer isn't really your thing, or if you just want to eat some food, there will be a ton of food there too. A lot of traditional meats, such as pork and duck, goose, and whole chickens that are roasted too. And if meat isn't really your thing or you're vegetarian, they'll have potato soup and potato salad for you, and soft pretzels and desserts such as apple strudels. But a lot of the food there will be very traditional. And while you're eating and drinking, you'll enjoy some traditional folk German music. The bands there will play pretty much all day, and towards the end of the day, a lot of people will lock arms and dance throughout the streets and join in the marches. But they're not just limited by folk music. They'll also play popular pop songs or the YMCA song. Now, with all that to do, there are some things you probably shouldn't do in Germany. And according to Derek from the Migrant Expats, the Germans are very reserved and respectful, especially towards strangers. In America, you typically ask somebody how they're doing, and they'll just say, fine, thanks, and ask you it back. But in Germany, they really don't do that, especially towards strangers. They'll think it's odd. And if they do plan to answer you, they'll actually tell you how they're doing and how their day is going. And if you're walking down the street and you want to smile at somebody, don't do that. They'll think that's kind of creepy. They don't really like interacting with strangers. And while you're there, you should also be very observant of the jaywalking law. If you do it in front of children and a police sees it, they will fine you. And they hate jaywalkers there. As far as spitting goes, in America, it's not really the best thing to do. But in Germany, it really isn't. They think it's very rude over there. So don't just spit around, especially in public. And as far as punctuality goes, everything there is pretty much on the dime. So if you're a really late person and you make plans and you're late, that's just not a good thing. They expect everyone to be on time. So in conclusion, if you plan to visit Germany, you can expect mild climate year-round. Winter, summer, it's all fine. And as far as language barrier goes, it's not really an issue because most Germans can speak English well enough for communication. But if you know High German, that's a plus because then you can talk to everybody. And if you go for Oktoberfest, it starts around the middle of September and happens in Munich. And it'll last 16 days. And you can definitely expect a lot of beer and a lot of traditional food and music. And lastly, with all those things to do, you should always be respectful of all the Germans there. Don't try and do things that you would in America, like spitting or trying to interact with strangers or asking how their day is going. And especially don't jaywalk. And above all, don't drink yourself to death.